Hello, everyone. Welcome to Freelance Chat with our guest today, Sophie Cross. Hello, Sophie.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yay, I'm so glad you're here. Sophie is an old friend of the chat and a friend of mine. And I just am so pleased to have her here. And she's the editor of Freelancer Magazine, which she created from scratch. And I think Robin, our friend, mutual friend Robin, introduced me to you, or maybe I knew about you, and then she just, was such a fan. And so but yeah, I don't know if Robin's going to be here today, but anyway, most people on the chat know Robin too. So anyway, Sophie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Mhm.
Sorry.
That's okay. Chatting and typing at the same time. Yes. Hello. I am the editor of Freelance Magazine, and this is the last issue, not the new issue, which is coming out in 3 weeks. So it's a print mag and a digital mag for freelancers. You can get it globally. We've been making it this will be our 3rd anniversary edition coming up. So it's quarterly. And yeah, we just make this amazing resource connecting the freelance community through a magazine, and we do other things as well. We have a newsletter and virtual co-working and lots of different things, but you can check it out on the website. I've been freelancing myself for, I think, about 11 years as a marketer, specializing in travel and hospitality. So you can tell what happened during the pandemic, but then a wonderful magazine was born from that. So yeah, and I hang out on LinkedIn a lot, so come and say hi on LinkedIn as well.
Yes, you do a great job with LinkedIn, and you help other people improve their LinkedIn game, because I know a lot of us are kind of like, what do we do over there? And they change, the bar is always moving, changing, like what are we supposed to be doing, and how do we play this LinkedIn game? So
yeah, I have a course called LinkedIn for Humans, and yeah, I'm not too proud to say that I'm a lover of LinkedIn, and I have been for a few years now, and yeah, and I think there's a really great community there as well. I know that kind of us original Twitter hardcore fans were a bit dubious of LinkedIn at first, but now we don't have any choice. So yeah.
I don't know, we could have a whole conversation about LinkedIn probably too. So it looks like a lot of people are joining us. I see everybody tuning in. Hello, Erin. Hello, Paula. Hello, Joe. Hello, Nia. And sometimes people, you have a name and I don't know. I'm never sure like what their actual name is. So if I missed anybody, hello to everybody.
I'm
welcome.
now Freelancer Magazine in the chat as well. I've realized because I connected the Freelancer Magazine YouTube. So yeah, that's confusing. But
and you can put a link in there so people know how to get the magazine, the digital or the print version, which is available in the US. We were just chatting about that right before we went on. So you can, the digital version might be a little more cost effective with the postage, but like it is available. So that's a good, I didn't know for sure if we could get it. So that's really good to know.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm just going to hang out a couple of minutes before we start into our questions. We're talking about freelance love, and I know that kind of a nebulous topic, but love will factor into every question that we have today. And of course, we want to hear from everyone, and don't be afraid to talk amongst yourselves and chime in on the conversation in the comments. I know it's a little different than Twitter if you've never been to the YouTube version of Freelance Chat, but we're just doing our best here and trying to give this a go and see how it works. We've done a few of these now and people seem to enjoy it. So, oh, there's Ed. Hello. A lot of Sophie fans are here. So let's see. I'm going to type again. We have 6 questions today. Hi, Jennifer. Yes, I'm also doing chats on Threads occasionally. We haven't really gotten into a good cadence on either one of these, so I'm thinking we'll do this, every once in a while on YouTube, and we'll do it every once in a while on Threads, and it'll probably be on Thursdays at noon. So just keep an eye out, either in the Freelance Chat LinkedIn group, which is a private group, or I do post, I do still announce them on Twitter because we have a lot of people that follow the hashtag on Twitter. And I do post them on Threads. I don't know how many people are on Threads. There are a number of our freelance chat folks over there. Yes, I don't think you're on there, Sophie, are you?
I'm not. Okay, every now and then something will pop up and I'll click on it and they won't let me see it and I'll get annoyed. But maybe, is it worth it? Tell me, is it worth it?
I like it because I had to kind of wean myself away from Twitter, and it was really painful and kind of heartbreaking, to be very honest about it, because I had spent so much. It wasn't even about like work stuff for me. It was more about like my friends were there, my support system was there. And so a lot of the folks had gone over to Threads, and I was not super keen on getting on another social media platform, to be honest. But and I work in B2B, so LinkedIn is really a natural fit for me. But I do like Threads. It's definitely not exactly like Twitter, but I think it's the best, the next best thing, I guess I would say. Yeah. See, Paul is talking. It's worth it.
Okay. More connections with fewer followers. So like it's like quality, not quantity. Ed and Nia, are you on Threads? Because they were big Twitter fans.
Okay. Sorry, typing. Okay, let's get started. Oh, you know what? We haven't done introductions. I totally forgot. My brain has left the building. Okay, so we do always do. Let's introduce ourselves. Sophie has introduced herself, so let's all introduce ourselves in the comments over here. And then I will put this, see if I can show this up here. There it is. That's how it looks. Yay. And I didn't make any mistakes, no typos. Yay. So yeah, we want to hear from everybody. I'm a PR consultant. I will type that in. And of course I'm the host of the chat. Yep. Okay. People get it. People got it. Okay. So we'll let everybody do that for a couple of minutes. Trying to think what else we can chat about for just a second. I'll get ready to post questions.
I don't think my link is working, but maybe if I don't know if it's not letting me post the link, but maybe I'll drop it to you in the private chat and maybe you're able to share it.
Okay.
Thank you. Just reading everyone's intros.
Let's
I just feel like I was just feeling about getting really focused before this call, and now I feel like as soon as I get off it, I'm going to be on Threads.
It's okay. Kind of a, that's the thing. It wasn't a terrible thing for me to spend less time on Twitter anyway, because I probably maybe spent a little bit too much time there, to be honest. But I would get into conversations and then I would go down these rabbit holes. And so Threads is nice, but I don't feel the same about it as I did about Twitter. No offense to Threads, but I just will never invest as much of my heart and soul into it again, because it really crushed me when it happened. And a lot of people are still over there, and I keep my account open because I am in PR and there are reporters there, and I am announcing my book, and I'm like, I need to keep my Twitter account open. So, but I just, it's just, Threads is a nice, like, transition, I guess, away from being so invested in Twitter. So that's kind of how I look at it, but okay.
Hello, nice to read everyone's intros.
Hey, Angela. All right.
I'm also a rescue dog mom.
Oh, yeah.
Henry, I think. I don't know which one. There he is.
Yeah. Angela's Archie is, if we were on Threads, she would probably post a picture of him. I don't know. I don't think we can do I'm not sure we can do that in these comments, but when we're on Threads, we will do a pet thread, because I forgot to do that freelance pets as part of freelance chat thread. We should do that. Whoops. Okay, I don't want to do that. I just had the question and now I have to go back and grab it. All right. I think we are going to hop into these questions. All right. Start with an easy one. What do you love most about freelancing?
It's always got to be the flexibility, hasn't it? Like, every time. I mean, I know the running joke is the flexibility to decide which 16 hours a day you work, but
Yeah.
So hard to think about not owning, being able to plan your own time, I think.
Yeah.
I think that always comes up for I think everyone. We interview so many people for the magazine, and it's all that's got to be the answer 99% of the time. But and the flexibility, I guess, around everything. Like, I know it's not, it's not. We don't always get to choose our clients, do we? Because sometimes we just need clients. But
Right.
in theory, you do get to choose, and I think sometimes it's exciting that if you do more work, you earn more money. That's flexibility as well, isn't it? Like, actually,
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to read everyone else's answers as well.
Yeah, I think control and just the freedom and flexibility are huge because before I went out on my own, which has been quite a while now, I think it was, oh gosh, it's over 20 years. I just had an anniversary. It might be closer to 25 years at this point, but I started before I had my kids because I just didn't see myself, being gone, 10, 12 hours a day. And I just couldn't imagine. And I had some pretty horrible bosses, I'll be honest, and it just wasn't, I always knew I wanted to go out on my own. So it was really just biding my time and gaining the experience. And the last job I had was at an agency, and that just sealed the deal for me. I'm like, I cannot do this with these people. Not that all agencies are bad. I subcontract for agencies still. But yeah, no, that particular experience was just like, oh, I can't do this. So the day I started freelancing, I just felt so free. And I love, even now I have to remind myself, and I was just talking to somebody about this, like, I don't have to sit at my desk from 9 to 5, and I have to remind myself, like, it's okay if I need to run out for a couple hours, or I wanna take a yoga class, or I wanna, whatever, take my cat to the vet, or, whatever I need to do. It's okay for me to do those things as long as my work is getting done, and clients don't care, like, what time of day you work. If you wanna work a couple hours in the morning, come back in the evening, or however it works. So there's just so much flexibility. And I think your point about, like, being able to say yes or no, to clients and projects. Obviously, if you're working with somebody who is kind of, not a fit, you can always see about, like, replacing that client and trying to, find another one. So
I think that gets easier as time goes on as well. I remember kind of early days, having kittens about the thought of, actually getting sort of some toxic clients. And now I just wouldn't let that, it's not worth the losing sleep over, I don't think. So yeah, I think everyone else's answers, there's lots of flexibility, lots of variety. Also getting a dog, which I also agree with. I got Rusty, like, that was one of my main goals, work from home. So I basically went straight down the dog shelter and got Rusty about 3 months after I started freelancing, 2 months after, I think. So yeah, dog walks and spending time with the dog, definitely too. But that all kind of comes under flexibility, I guess, doesn't it? Like, flexibility to choose these different things and how you spend your time.
I saw somebody say something up here about meeting different people. I love that too, because, when you obviously, you can love your coworkers, but it's the same people you see day in and out.
Yeah.
And so I love being able to learn, like, new things when I work with a new client. And, I work with a lot of really interesting and, fun people. And I think that keeps what I do fresh, because otherwise I'd just be like chunking out the same thing, it could get boring, I guess. So this never really gets boring, I don't think.
Yeah, and I think also meeting other freelancers is really interesting. And once you have, having, I mean, I've been part of freelance communities for quite a few years now, but I wasn't for quite a few years. And the difference between that, and then meeting, often that people, you're finding people that are really like-minded after maybe freelancing for a few years and not really knowing anyone else in your kind of friend and friendship and family circles that do it. And then it's like, oh gosh, these other people are like me, and they have the same challenges as me, and maybe we like some of the same things. And I think that's really cool as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to love, right? I mean, what's not to love? I know people will have answers to that, so I'm not really asking that that question, but that'd be for another day. But I don't think we want to go there today.
No, it's just all about the love today, not the not the no love.
No, and I like say, don't get started, people. Like, don't go there. Oh, I did want to respond. I saw talking about somebody talking about subcontracting for a PR agency. Jennifer said, okay, let me show this really quick. I just want to answer this or talk to this a little bit because agencies, they're good and bad ones. I'll just be honest. I mean, I've worked with some really, really great, reasonable ones. And then other times they do want everything like yesterday, and they won't give you enough notice. And, so you just have to choose wisely, because I think it is a great avenue for clients for freelancers that are looking for client work and projects. I think working with an agency, it could be a really great revenue stream, and just a kind of a stream of not guaranteed, but like pretty consistent work. So I'm actually getting ready to start working with an agency based in the UK who needs a US based freelancer. So and they seem really nice and reasonable. They're not based in London, so maybe that's the difference. I don't know. But anyway, so let's go on here. Question 2. Okay, so how can you show love to your fellow freelancers? And I just want to frame this a little bit by saying I know a lot of freelancers are struggling right now. And I just want to talk about maybe some ways we can support each other and help each other. Even if you are very busy with work, there are days when you're just down and like you just need somebody to talk to, you just need somebody to kind of lift you up a little bit. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not to kind of keep bringing everything back around to LinkedIn, but I suppose LinkedIn and everything really is in terms of kind of marketing and community is about it's a really difficult word to say, reciprocity. Did it? So I think just kind of keeping that in mind in terms of what goes around comes around, and paying things forward, and referring work. I suppose it's nice to keep people front of mind and have a kind of bank of people in your, if there is kind of work that you don't want to do, or actually kind of maybe keeping a little bit of a list of other writers or PR experts that specialize in certain areas and certain industries. And yeah, I guess just keeping an eye on people, and if we all kind of look out for each other and look out for a few people in our circles, then I think also just sharing knowledge, being generous with your knowledge, being helpful. A rising tide lifts all boats, doesn't it? And I just think it's always been my experience of the freelance community, and that more than anything else, kind of everyone kind of gets that it's collaboration over competition and things like that. So yeah.
I think that's a really good point, because I tell a story often about how when I came back to Ohio, I used to live on the West Coast, and that's where I started freelancing. And it was great. It was very supportive, and a lot of people freelanced. When I came back, I was trying to kind of get back in the swing of things here in Ohio. And I had reached out to some people in the biz to just have coffee and just chat, just kind of, obviously I wasn't pushy, or I wasn't asking them for anything. I just kind of wanted to, just have a coffee. And this one lady said, "Why would I want to meet with you you're my competition. She just
Mm.
responded to the email like that. And I I was like, that just always stuck in my head. It was like, yeah, not really. I mean, what a way to view the world. I mean, I started the chat because I knew that freelancers would want to support each other, and that's been my experience. I mean, 99% of the time. There's always that little, 1% maybe, but I think that freelancers need each other and we could support each other, we could help each other. And I think it's great to have the network of other freelancers who do maybe similar work, but not exactly the same. Because if I get a inquiry from somebody who wants consumer PR, I don't really do that very much anymore unless it makes sense for me. So I like to have other freelancers that I know who I can refer that potential client to. So I think it's great that way as well.
For sure. Yeah, and it is, what goes around comes around, doesn't it? In terms of how you treat other people and how you expect to be treated yourself and things like that. So it doesn't cost anything to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, some people I don't understand. Do the people not believe in karma, or they just think it's never, it's never going to come back on them? I don't know, because I heard somebody who said this say that if somebody's mean that to other people, that just means that they're not happy with their own life, and so you just have to look at it that way. But I'm always like, wow, I have never one time had somebody ask me for a question that I at least didn't respond to, and like try to help if I could. I don't always know the answer, but
Yeah.
uh, I think that's just a lousy way to look at
Yeah.
it. So.
I think once you start getting involved in the freelance community as well, like Joe was saying on the chat, like you're kind of flabbergasted by how nice and how supportive everyone is. So you kind of instantly start reaping the benefits, and that of the support. And I don't know, I was amazed, and I still do continue to be amazed a little bit with people put stuff out there like, oh, I'm looking for a contract template or an invoice template, or I've got this problem, and people are just kind of showered with help and advice. But yeah, we get the support back as well. So
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you get back what you reap what you sow, or however that goes. But yeah, what are some, I wonder, I'm trying to think of some tangible ways besides referring. Okay, here we go, Angela. Um, yes, support, tips, referrals. Yes. Um,
yeah,
and
shout outs, I guess. I mean, I know it can be a little bit annoying to get kind of a wall of tags in a post, but if you kind of do a real quite a thoughtful post about people that that you find really helpful, or directing people in a certain way, I think that can be really great. I know that I've got quite a lot of new connections from other people shouting me out, or like the Duncan newsletter out and things like that. I always really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. Yeah, not seeing them as competition. Yeah, that's a scarcity mindset. I agree, absolutely, Nia. Let's see what else. Somebody's calling me. I need to put that away. Let's see. Yeah, that's the thing. There's only so much work you can do, and then it's good to have somebody that you trust to refer work to, and referrals can be tricky too, I will say, because sometimes if you don't know, if you know somebody, but you haven't worked with them,
Yeah.
and then I never know, like, if somebody refers something to me and either I get it or I don't, do they want me to tell them? Or if something goes awry, or like, how do you, that's kind of a side question, but I'm always
Mm.
curious about how to handle that part of it too.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why things like newsletters and posting regularly and things like that can be really good, because you might know another freelancer and you might kind of like them, and you might know them on a friendship basis, but you might actually not kind of see examples of their work, or see
Right.
examples of clients that they work with, or see examples of their writing. And I
Right.
think actually, you know, as well as kind of just putting yourself out there and creating connections, that actually to kind of show up and create a newsletter or to post
Mhm.
regularly
Mhm.
is actually a really good way of showcasing what you do, what you want to do, that
Mhm.
you're, I think that I've I've worked with freelancers on the basis that they have newsletters because like it shows to me that they're proactive, it shows to me that they're kind of sticking to their own deadlines because you don't
Mhm.
get to see how people work with clients, do you necessarily? So
Right.
and it's just a way of kind of doing that without kind of going out, I guess to share testimonials and case studies is really nice some of the time, but um, you know, it's more exciting to create your own things and demonstrate it through that than go, oh, I'm delighted that I've been working with XX, and we can't always even talk about the clients that we've been working with, can we?
Yeah. I also like this comment about hyping people up. Just I mean, just even liking when people share something they've created or worked on, if it's a newsletter, if it's a book, if it's a magazine, if it's an article,
Mm,
just either, liking it, sharing it, sending them a comment, something that just lets them know that you saw it. And I don't think that takes too much. Now, it's hard to keep up when you have a big network. Of course, you're not going to see everybody's everything that they post, but when you can, I think that's just a really easy, simple way of, supporting your fellow freelancers. Because I think a lot of us do have other things that we do for our business or things that we just do creatively that we enjoy or, what have you. So I think it's good to do that, and it's easy.
mm, yeah. And I know this is not a real tangible thing, and I know that it's easier said than done, but um, I guess thinking about kind of how you interact with clients and rates and things like that for the good of the freelancing community as a whole. And actually, sometimes, if you are in a bit of a, I don't know, you're not quite sure what to do with a client, or you're a bit shy about kind of putting out a higher rate or asking for something or putting boundaries in place. Sometimes I find it easier to think, well, actually, this is kind of for the good of everybody. If I do this, this is not just for me, but actually I'm kind of, um, you know, I'm representing the name of freelancers here. So yeah, I suppose that's also another way that's a bit bigger and broader.
Yeah. All right. Gonna move on to question 3. And man, sometimes how can you show yourself some love when you're struggling? And I mean, I don't know, like some days, I mean, and maybe it's not even work related. Some days, you're just struggling with life. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, I just
Mm,
need, to take a couple hours for myself and, just
mm,
go get a coffee or go take a walk or
yeah,
go spend time with my pets or whatever it is. But, I'm curious to see how other people, kind of self-care.
yeah, I totally agree with all of these. Tea, bath, binge watch TV, walk. I mean, walking is like always the way, I think, for me. The easiest thing, kind of force yourself out of the house. And I think we were talking about it a little bit before we got online that it's kind of even tougher in freelancing than maybe in employment in terms of you don't, you know, we're always comparing ourselves, however much we try to avoid doing it. And kind of if you're going to take a couple of hours off, there's no kind of, direct comparison to know whether that's okay, or like if, we always, our benchmark for ourselves is always moving, isn't it? So you could work enormously hard for a while and, what does that look like to you? What does that look like to other people? Is working longer hours really something to be proud of, or, an achievement? But I think
Mhm.
that's always the thing, isn't it? When you're always kind of like, is this okay? Am I is it okay that I take time off? And I guess I kind of just always try to go, yeah, it is actually, like, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Most
Joe's
of the time
like,
it is, I think,
hate to say it, but exercise helps. Yeah. You're
I
right.
think just I work at home by myself, and when my kids are at school all day, I sometimes I just need to get out and, like, interact with another human being. So even just, like, running an errand and talking to the clerk or like, even that could, like, change me, like, get
Yeah.
me a little bit out of my head and just make me remember that, I not get too, like, overthinking, self-focused, whatever. It's usually good for me just to interact with other people, and I've been trying
Yeah.
to kinda get back out into, like, networking. I mean, for lack of a better word, like events where you would, be with business people. Um,
Mm.
and it's hard, because I think I've leaned way into my introvert side, not only working at home by myself all day, but also because of the pandemic, and so now I'm just like, I don't know if I really have it in me to be out, like, meeting people and handing out business cards and all that stuff. I don't know. So,
Yeah, it's so difficult because once you sort of start going down that path of feeling a bit crap, yeah,
yeah.
you don't want to exercise, you don't want to see people, you don't want to leave the house. And yeah, it's just kind of trying to get that balance of, so I have the same, like I go to a co-work space, and I cycle there, which is actually really good as well. So sometimes I just say to myself, okay, well, I'm just going to cycle there, even if I just spend an hour there or something. So
Yeah.
then at least I've got the exercise, even if I haven't fancied being there. We have virtual co-working as well, and I kind of think, oh God, I don't know, I don't go the whole time, and then I kind of forget about it as well. And then, but every time I go to virtual co-working, like I feel more productive. I feel like buzzing from seeing other people.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think it, and I guess it's kind of almost doing these things before you get to the point of needing to do them. Sometimes, if we can remind ourselves, or like
Yes.
taking breaks and exercising before we really need to exercise.
Right. I mean, if it's good, I mean, it's part of my routine, but I mean, I kinda have to make sure I force myself to do it. It's not like I'm gonna, just do it if I don't have any self-discipline about it. I like some of these comments too about the pep talk, giving yourself a pep talk.
I'm guilty of
I
that.
do that sometimes.
Yeah,
Like, "You can do it," and then I get out my, like, all my positivity, my coffee mug, and my like, "You go, like, you can do it, like, you got it in you," like, it's just, it's funny, but, I mean, sometimes it can work. I mean, my therapist would be really proud of me for giving myself a pep talk, I think.
oh, Joe's pitching a quick virtual co-working disco. Well, I'm hosting in about a week or two, so
Oh.
maybe I'll introduce that as the see it. Oh, I'm gonna. Joe, you've got to be there. I think I'm hosting on the 17th, but I'll double check.
What time of day is that?
So we host them every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, British summertime now, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. But we've
Okay,
also
so
added a
pretty early.
4 till 6 p.m. on a Wednesday for different time zones. So that would be about now. Well, yeah, it would be now.
Okay. So that
Yesterday.
might be fun if
Mm.
somebody if people were interested in that, I think that would be kind of fun, so
Yeah, all the information's on the website under events, or if you sign up for the Duncan newsletter, you'll get like loads of resources about
Oh,
freelancing and
yeah,
like the
the Dunker.
information. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I get the Dunker, yes. I it comes into my inbox and I try to read it and but I love that because it's like a little mini,
mm.
version of the magazine. So that's something definitely for people to sign up for if you haven't signed up for the Dunker, and you can do that at the link. We'll put the link back in there again in a little bit.
I mean,
Um,
I guess it kind of comes down to this flexibility that we have again, right? Because Ed's put in the
mhm,
chat about, obviously freelancing being really lonely and we don't have the support networks that employed
right.
people do. And actually, all the stuff we're talking about, leaving the house, seeing other people, like you're kind of forced to do that if you're going
Yeah,
into an office, aren't you? And
yeah,
um, I guess it's almost like we have that flexibility not to do those things. And
mhm.
we need to make sure that we put things in place for ourselves, like finding a community, or like I don't know, I always thought this sounded absolutely ludicrous, and then as the years have gone on, it sounded more and more like I kind of got there with it. But I guess I kind of recreate it with walking the dog. But do you know about people that work from home but kind of get dressed in a suit and then walk around the block?
Yes.
um yeah, so I was like, I think I kind of kind of achieved that with walking the dog in the morning a little bit. But yeah, I used to
Put
think
on
that
a
was
suit.
crazy. And well, no, I wear leggings and hoodie 95% of my life. But I am dressed, you know, I'm not in
Well,
pajamas.
that's good.
Yeah, so
Putting on pants, you know, that's that's a success, right? If we can
yeah.
just get get ourselves dressed. I like the breaking the cycle. Paula talks about anything you can do that can break the cycle of you being in your own head. Sometimes I think can be really helpful for me because I definitely overthink and just get really, ooh, I don't know. I've had a couple days recently when I was like, this sucks. Like, this is not a good mindset for me to be in right now. So,
yeah, you can kind of, yeah, and you kind of, I don't know, you almost like don't want to get out of it. You're kind of like enjoying the suffering to some extent. But I do feel like doing something quite bizarre, like anything to snap you out of it can be really, really helpful,
yeah.
basically. Even
Yeah,
if
you
it's just
can
like, oh, I'm
wallow
just
in
going
it.
to
And
go and
sometimes
buy
that's
a loaf
okay.
of bread or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and sometimes I do let myself have a pity party a little bit. I give myself a pep talk, or sometimes I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
You're just gonna feel like this, so you don't feel like this anymore. And it usually doesn't last a long time for me. And I realize that it could be serious for some people, like I don't want to downplay it at all, but
Yeah,
like,
of course.
but yeah, sometimes you just, like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed and wake up tomorrow and things will be better, and usually they are. So, but man, those days are tough. Okay, I'm gonna put up Q4. Okay.
Also, like I also about having a smile file. So collating when people say nice things or testimonials, like collating that somewhere, and that's something you can just like reminding yourself how far you've come and reminding yourself of those things can be really powerful.
A feel good file, that's what I call it. Yes. I had one of those on Twitter. I don't know if I need to start just a different method of saving all that, I guess. But okay, so how can you show some love to your community as a freelancer? So I know this might not sound like, it might sound like a weird question to some people, but we probably have some ideas, I think.
So are we talking your local community right now, not your freelance community?
I would say I was thinking your local community, but I think, I think let's do that because we've kind of talked about our freelance community. I'm thinking about volunteering, and you can do that in your area of expertise. I mean, I've, been asked to help promote, an event for a nonprofit or something like that. In exchange, they'll give me a little sign or some kind of sponsorship, with that, and I mean, I've done it with and without getting anything in return. Sometimes it's just feels good to do it. So
yeah, I think lots of people do things in different ways, don't they? Or they can do things for their families. I think I've done mentoring and volunteering and kind of mixed results with those. And I think it's kind of like important to, I wouldn't say I've had a bad experience, but I think sometimes with things like this, they could be quite undefined, or they could be quite, things like that. And then I think it's kind of important not to be put off if you've done something that, hasn't quite worked out the way you want it to. I only talk about this as well because we have got an article coming up in the next issue with a company called Link Up London, and they kind of specialize in volunteering that's really well defined, that really matches people's expertise with a specific project. It's like short-term projects, and I just really like the sound of that. We're kind of sharing a few freelancer stories about how they found working with Link Up London. So I think it's about finding like volunteering or mentoring or anything that you want to do that, I guess that is a match, isn't it, for you? And that, it's about finding your community in that respect as well, because I think we've all done it in a business respect as well. Found sort of joined communities that maybe weren't quite for us. Yeah, I'd be interested. Oh, Anne just put she loves Link Up London. I know she's done some stuff for them. Yeah, we've got a really cool article about them in the next magazine. But I think it's looking at all the different options available to you and how that fits in. I don't think you have to kind of dedicate enormous amounts of time, but if you can dedicate an hour a week or an hour a month or something like that, and also that I think things like mentoring and volunteering, you can get loads out of it, can't you? And it gives you a bit of headspace as well to kind of think about, I guess, working on your business or taking time out of your business and not just kind of working in your business the whole time.
I was talking to somebody about like how what feeds your soul actually helps you be better at everything, including your work and your business. Because sometimes I feel like if I have extra time, I should be devoting it to like taking a course or learning something or, going to a webinar or going, like some kind of networking thing. But then I think, oh, this person said, well, doing things outside of work can also like help you be better and feel more creative and more inspired. And just in general, I forget about that too, that there's a connection between, your work and your non-work, activities. So.
Yeah, I think it's good to have some, to sort of define some clear boundaries for yourself as well, though. So it's kind of, you don't end up being the person that does all the free work for, especially if I know I used to live in quite a small town, and it was like I've ended up doing the marketing for every kind of, village event that was coming up. And I think it's good to kind of define some things that you're going to do or time that you're going to spend, and so you don't get dragged in, you don't end up kind of resenting those things, and you are getting something out of it as well. Whether that is time or contacts or feel goodness. But I'm a little bit Ed's put he donates to a UK charity called Arts Emergency. Yeah, I've heard of them. I donate a little bit to Beam, which are a homeless charity. That's kind of an easy way, isn't it, to kind of and like, I think that you can do, I think we always get caught up as well to think, oh, when I'm earning this much money, I'll donate 5% of my profits or something. But actually, you can just start really, really small.
Yeah, certainly donations if you can do that. I know, like I said, I know some people are struggling, so this might not make sense to do. I mean, and there's going to be seasons when you can do it and seasons when you can't, and I think that's perfectly fine. And I also appreciate what you said, and then also Angela is saying, make sure you're not getting taken advantage of, which I think is a very good point. If you work with an organization that doesn't appreciate you and tries to take advantage, that's probably not a good fit. And I would say maybe, define the boundaries or look, move on, look for somebody else. Cause that's what I'm thinking about right now. Literacy, like how do I help do something involved with literacy? And I'm just kind of shopping around for the right, fit. And I think it's going to be a time, I'm going to donate time to doing something with that, but still trying to figure that out. Cause I'm worried about critical thinking, and I'm worried about, if children don't read, they don't write, they're not critical thinkers. So I'm like, okay, how am I gonna, that means something to me. And I feel like that's calling me to try to do something. So that's going to be something I'm going to try to find, but
follow your calling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think charity does begin at home. And I know that sounds really selfish thing to say, but I just mean, it's really important that we look after ourselves first, because there's no point in that's important, and then we can give the best bits of ourselves to other people as well.
Here's Jo saying she gives a break on her fees, and I've done that with nonprofits before too. And you mentioned when we were getting ready for this, you were talking about doing purpose-led work for if you can make money. Like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, well, I don't know if Nia's still here, but her, again, just because we're just going to print with the new magazine. So she's written an article in it actually, which is purpose-led versus profitability. And, whether both things are possible. And yeah, I guess that's always the question, isn't it? Like, we kind of like, do we go for the clients that are, have the huge budgets, but might be kind of recruitment or finance and things like that, but might be a little bit soul destroying? Or do we go for purpose-led brands? I don't think that, I think that sometimes we bring it on ourselves to think that these things are mutually exclusive when they don't necessarily have to be.
Right.
And I also think it really depends on your priorities for yourself at the time, right? Like if you really are, like you really do need some clients, then of course that you're going to have some flexibility in terms of working for your ideal client or working for your dream client. And I suppose just sitting down and thinking about that, and really, like, I always find it really helpful to kind of keep a close eye on cash flow and budgets and things like this. And I think that they can be really scary, and especially if you're feeling like things are a bit quiet, it can feel extra scary to do these things. But
Right.
I think actually it gives you more of a sense of control, and then you can make, more, choices based on knowledge that you have. Like, is it just a sense that you've got that, like, oh God, things are a bit quieter and I need to take, anything, or maybe not anything, or actually, that's going to be a distraction from me to try and find like a better fit of a client. And if that is a purpose-led brand for you, then, but yeah, that's how I kind of look at making decisions and things about things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Finding balance between your timing, needs, and what you can do. Read the full article in the next issue of Freelance Magazine.
Sorry, I don't want to take anything away from that, but yeah, no, I think that's a good point, because I just actually, I mean, I've been trying to find clients, just proactively looking for clients that are a better fit for me, and I just wrote myself a note to kind of look for maybe some nonprofits locally that I could even, donate some of my time or work with in some way that, I mean, and maybe they have a budget. A lot of times nonprofits are so like, they don't have a lot of budget for marketing or PR writing stuff, but they need help. So there might be some way to balance that out. So I like that. This was good. That was a good.
No, I brought my pen along as well to write down some notes.
Okay, we're going to go to question 5. How can freelancers find more clients they love? There's well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of back to what we were saying, isn't it? That kind of that balance. And I think there tends to be 2 camps in the freelance community, and it's niche versus generic. And I am a pro niche person, and I can't remember who it was now, but someone was talking earlier about having their niche, but actually still finding loads of variety within that niche. I think it was in healthcare. And I don't think that having a niche needs kind of narrow down your options, and it doesn't always have to be an industry. Like, it could be, you could be more specific about the services you offer, or you could have, it could be a style or something like that. But I think that being clear about what you do and is if you're not clear about what you do or what you do best or what you want to do, and this comes back down to, especially with kind of getting referrals from other freelancers and stuff like that. If people aren't quite sure, okay, I know that you're a writer, but what, I don't really know what kind of type of work that you like doing, what clients you like working for. So I think if first of all, and it's not easy, is it? But to be really clear about that yourself, I think, is the way to find more clients that you love, and to try and have a clear idea about, what those clients look like. Because if you don't have that dream client in mind, you're not going to get anywhere near it. That is kind of a fact, I think. So I think it's kind of going back to the drawing board, and if you don't know for sure, and kind of having a real good think about that. And I think also sometimes we're scared of things changing, and I think I'm a big change addict. So I think don't be afraid to choose something, because it might change further down the line. Like, that's kind of inevitable. And actually choosing something and it changing just means you've kind of decided something you don't want to do, which is also good.
Yeah. Well, and back to LinkedIn, I've been trying to do some research and using LinkedIn in ways that I've never really used it before. I'll have to be honest and just say I haven't like been a person who does a lot of cold outreach, but I
Mhm.
think to find clients, I have a client I work with right now who I call my ideal client, and they are great. She is great. They are fabulous, and I love them, and I want work like them. And I mean, they're not falling from the sky into my lap. So I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, what size is the company? Of course, they're manufacturing companies. Are there 200 to 500, employees? You can pick that out on LinkedIn, and you can search and look and see regionally, or like, you can look on in different ways, and then you can start following people, maybe connect with the people, or just look at what they're posting, comment or like their post, just trying to kind of get on their radar a little bit before you just hit them with the, "Hey, do you need any help?" Like, so I've been
Mm.
trying to use LinkedIn a little bit more like that, but it's a challenge for me because I've not done it before. So,
Mm. Yeah, Joe's put about 100. I wonder how people drop niches, and I mean, not knowing kind of in detail a specific situation, but I think, Ed and Nia have talked about just kind of being really loud and proud about shouting about the things you love and shouting about the things you do. And I just think people forget really quickly, and people, so just talk about the things that you do and you do love, and actually people will kind of get that you don't do that thing anymore.
mhm,
Like I went from predominantly being like well, God, the amount of job title changes I had over about a 4-year period, and still do kind of lots of different things, and still wonder whether my LinkedIn my bio headline should be different, and change it sometimes and change it back the next day. So yeah, I think don't worry. If you want to do a big kind of announcement post and say, "Oh, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm doing this," then by all means do it. But obviously, not everyone or lots of people are not going to see that anyway. So I think it's just about talking about what you do. Um, do. Um, so yeah.
yeah, people are very a lot of people don't like to talk a lot about what they do and their successes and wins and their, so I mean, I feel like we need to get away from like the icky, way of like self-promotion, and kind of view self-promotion as part of, when you're a freelancer, you work for yourself. If you're not talking about what you do and your successes and wins, who is going to, like, you would love it if your clients were be out there being your cheerleader, but let's be honest, they're busy, and you can't expect that. You can't count on that happening. So, I feel like we need to be a little bit more open and embrace that, talking about like what you love to do. And I want to ask Nia and Ed, when you say that, so you just talk about the projects you've worked on that you've enjoyed and what you did? I mean, what is that what you mean? Is that kind of what you're saying there?
Yeah, I think they also talk about like personal things they like personally, and
Okay.
kind of values, and um, yeah, personal projects and personal writing projects. And yeah, I think um, yeah, you can yeah, add some
Okay.
projects and personal
Okay,
interest.
cool. Yeah, I was just trying to get an idea, like, that's why I thought if I post on LinkedIn, "Oh, I really love this and that." I don't know if that if that
Yeah.
will work over there, but, like, but I'll think about this a little bit more. Maybe I can.
Yeah, and I think there is a way to do it. It's like, and actually just posting more and getting out there more and engaging more with other people, you kind of get a sense, because when you do think about doing it, you're like, oh God, what's this post going to look like? Hey, and actually, do you know what? I think actually lots of people have done those posts. I've seen loads of them recently that's kind of like reintroducing themselves, or these are the things I like. And they
Mhm.
seem to be really, really popular. But I think there are other ways of um, sharing, like sharing kind of, without turning everything into a business lesson, or without making it too much like Facebook. I think it's just,
Mhm.
yeah, the more you kind of use LinkedIn, the more that kind of you get to grips with it. But it's difficult to almost explain how you do that without going, hey, these are the clients that I like to work with, or these are the things I
Right.
like. But I think that occasionally those posts are also totally cool too.
Okay. No, that's interesting. I don't know, maybe it depends on your niche and things, because I don't know, like, it might not work for everyone, but I definitely am gonna be giving that some thought, so.
Mm.
We're almost out of time. I'm gonna put question 6 up here in a few more minutes. Um, so how can we bring more fun into our workday so we love it even more? So
I think, like, as a bit of a segue from what we were just talking about, I do think that the more we can bring our personalities out and kind of
mhm,
be unashamedly ourselves, and I know obviously not everything is appropriate to
mhm,
share, but people work with people they like, and um,
mhm,
I'm going to pay more attention probably to someone talking about going off in the camper van for a weekend because I like to do that too, or going sea swimming or doing those things, and kind of than I am someone who goes, oh, look at this report I've just published or something. That's a bad example, but I think that when you start to realize that the more kind of unashamedly yourself you are on social media and things like that, and
mhm,
actually people want to see you doing stuff that isn't just work related, and that's where I get my most kind of creativity and things like that. So I think it's it kind of comes full circle back round to giving ourselves a bit of a break, like literally before we going for that walk before we need to go for that walk to get the creative juices flowing, not because we've had to force ourselves out of the house.
mhm,
Um, and yeah, everything that we've been talking about, I suppose, being part of the communities, being getting that great support network,
mhm.
lifting others, trying to work with clients that are more our ideal fit. And again, that comes back round to what we were just talking about. Um,
Mhm.
being ourselves, talking about what we love, um, being human. What it said, yeah.
The kitchen disco, of course, that's that would be bring more fun into everyone's day, really. I mean,
Yeah,
let's be
kitchen disco, virtual co-working disco, co-working. Emma Cownley had a neat weekly Excel sheet about her wins. And I just think we really should be spending way more time thinking about the things that we've achieved as opposed to the things that we haven't achieved, or what we should be doing better,
yeah.
Um, and
I just
actually, I think in doing that, it's probably quite a good way of maybe reminding yourself of projects you've done or people you've worked with in the past that you haven't connected with in a while, which I think is a really good way to kind of get new clients and remind yourself of, what clients you really want to work with.
Yeah, I know Angela, I'm just typing it in here. I think she does a great job of aligning her, interests with, her client work. Now, again, for some of us, like if I work with manufacturing clients, I'm not welding in my spare, like I'm not doing that. So I think I just am struggling with like how to
That is
do that.
content I would
Yeah.
pay to see though, Michelle.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should go get a hard hat and go get into the shop floor at some of my clients and just get some video of that. Maybe that would be.
Mm.
I
Oh,
was over there and I had a hard hat on the other week or two ago, and I should have gotten a picture. They took my hard hat before I had a chance to get a picture. I'm like,
oh
oh.
no, that would have been ace content. Go back. We should have a funny hat day or something, shouldn't we? Like a
Yeah. Yeah,
mm,
and I think sometimes too when people, like, post about that they went and did something, like they volunteered their time, it can be a little, like, I don't know, there's just an art to it, like, I don't know that everybody does a really good job of, like, sharing it in a heartfelt way versus just, "Look what I did," like, kinda
mm.
trying to get, I don't know, I've
I
seen
do
people do
think that
that.
we all kind of have to go through those cringe posts though, and some of them that sometimes they do pop up, and I think that you almost I always say you have to do 100 bad posts before you can kind of get really good at it. So you might as well just start getting them out of the way. And it
Mhm.
is, yeah, I don't know. I think there is something it feels it feels right, doesn't it? Or it doesn't feel right. Like I get that feeling of going, oh, I'm kind of forcing this.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah. All right. I'm going to put the link to Freelancer Mag back in the chat,
wonderful
the
brand.
comments. And please, we're going to wrap up because it's 1. And I want to thank everybody for being here. Please be sure to follow Sophie, connect with Sophie. She does a fabulous job on LinkedIn. And go and check out Freelancer Mag and sign up for the Dunker, right? I almost said dumper. That's not it. See, I'm in the manufacturing brain.
Maybe we'll rebrand it one week.
Oh,
I've
but
already said do as well. So
see, dumper, doo-doo. We've covered it all here on the chat. So, but anyway, I want to thank Sophie. Thank you,
thank
Sophie.
you so much for having me, and thanks everyone else for coming. It's been great to see everyone else's comments as well.
And we will see everybody soon. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.